Welcome to episode 19 of the Hot Mess Roundtable. This week we are talking about high school horror stories. My name is Lauren, and I am a hot mess this week because Matt had strep over the weekend, which was Mother's Day weekend. I record in advance. And so that was a lot of fun. Usually he knocks Mother's Day out of the park, but this time he was under the weather the whole day.
Oh, no.
That sucks. And he was like legit sick. Like I took him to urgent care on Monday because he had a really high fever. So.
Oh, poor guy. Yeah. So did any of the kiddos get it?
Not yet.
Okay, that's good.
So we will see. And he's better, so.
Very good. Well, my name is Jordan, and I am a hot mess this week because I completely messed up my grandmother's cookie recipe, and I'm just really sad about it.
It smells amazing in here.
Yeah. And your husband confirmed they were very good.
Well, he just doesn't count. His opinion doesn't count because... Here's the deal. My dad he does like an annual family reunion kind of thing at his house. And so that's tonight. And so we are recording and I'm going to book it over there to his house. Right. And so I made my dough last night, let it chill overnight like it was supposed to, went to put it in the oven today, and they didn't rise. Like the cookies didn't rise. They were flat. They just have this off tangy taste that just isn't right. And this recipe is my grandmother's cookie recipe, but it's been in the family for like generations now. And when you have a generational recipe like that, them still tasting good doesn't count. It has to be the right recipe that everyone knows. And so it's just not right. So I called my mom and she's like, oh, your baking soda's old. And I was like, oh, I didn't know it got old. Okay.
How does she know?
Because she's just magic.
Okay.
We learned the hard way. That's how it happened to me anyways. I told you I'd made some meatloaf one night for dinner and my breadcrumbs were old.
Oh, yeah.
So when we, bit into it, it was like eating a piece of cardboard. I literally threw the entire thing away. I wouldn't let anybody eat it. It was awful.
Well, that's me. I threw away all the cookies and then Thor's like scavenging them. And he's like, no, I'm eating these. Don't throw these away. And I'm like, they're not right. And he's like, they're still good. And I'm like, but they're not Mima's.
Oh, well, it smells amazing in here.
Does.
So,
well, there you go.
Well, my name is Amanda and I'm a hot mess this week because we are running out of time for our vacation and it's just coming so quickly and I just don't know how to get everything together.
You're still a couple weeks out though, right?
2 weeks from tomorrow we leave.
Okay. So you still got all kinds of time.
Okay. I don't feel like it at all. Everybody's floating today because we're here. We need to do this. And and nobody's at home doing anything that they need to help get ready. So I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm going to end up doing it all. But it's okay. It'll be fine. We'll get ready. We'll do it.
Will you have to pack for everybody or will the kids pack for themselves?
Kids pack for themselves. Okay. Honestly, Cliff packs for himself as well. It's just making sure we have everything that we're going to need.
Yeah.
So minus food because I'm not taking food. We'll get that when we get there.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You'll get there. I feel like you do have all kinds of time. You'll get there.
I know. Well, Cliff honestly thought we were leaving next week, so he really went into full-on panic mode.
You should have just let him live there, and he would have had everything done for everybody.
Yeah, like he panicked a little bit last night when he got home from work. I'm like, we don't leave until June 2nd. It's a while, and he goes, "Oh my God, okay, I feel a little bit better."
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Well, what are we drinking this week, Amanda? This is all you.
It is. Well, I actually have seen this on TikTok and the Instagram reels and all that stuff, and it's you take the Simply Lemonade. Drink it down a little bit. I got the normal size, but I've seen it mixed with the gallon size. You just get, drink your lemonade down a little bit and then you can add in cherry flavored Kool-Aid or tropical punch. I did tropical punch. And then you fill the rest of it up with vodka.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is going to be a great summer refreshing drink. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time trying it. And it's pretty freaking good, if I might say so myself.
You can't taste the vodka at all.
No.
It's delicious.
That's a scary drink is what that is.
Yep.
So
yep. Perfect for the pool.
Cheers, ladies.
Cheers. Good work. Good work. All right. Housekeeping items. We have moved our studio location, which is so exciting. We have had a ton of rain and my basement has gotten a little bit flooded, which is okay. It's like built to do that. It's fine. But I didn't want to record down there in the wetness. That was gross. And so Thor's like, well, it wouldn't be that big of a deal just to move everything up to the kitchen table. And I'm like, what do you mean it wouldn't be that big of a deal? And he had it set up in 5 minutes.
That's a game changer.
It is. So now we're not downstairs in like the musty cat litter filled, snake filled basement. Like this is so much better.
Don't worry about Monty coming out from behind the tarp scaring the crap out of
Yeah,
me.
this is way better. So we're not going back.
I mean,
Sorry,
for the
Thor,
rec-
you opened it up.
For the record, I've never actually seen a snake in your
No,
basement.
I have not either.
We trust you.
They're there. I actually, for the record, have never seen a snake in my basement either because Monty brings them up and deposits them in the middle of the kitchen floor.
Oh.
So, yeah. But this is better for us and our emotional well-being. However, Thor tells me that the recording quality is not as good. So it's a little more echoey because there's so many hard surfaces and you can hear like every background noise. So hang in there with us. We're just hoping that we graduated out of the basement. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, we'll just see if there's too much background noise. And there's a weird buzzing coming and going in our headphones, but we're pretty sure it's not recording. But we'll see. Sorry if it is.
If it is, oh well. We've expressed numerous times we are not professionals.
That's right. We have no idea what we're doing.
This is all for fun.
Anything.
In honor of all the mamas graduating off their babies this week and last week and over the last couple weeks, we thought that we would do a fun high school horrors episode and talk all about how hard it is in high school.
And how glad they're all probably are that they're out.
That is a thing about moms. Like and I'm not a mom, obviously, but it's just every mom feels that sense of accomplishment. Mm-hmm. Like I got them through high school.
Yes.
Like the graduation day is a
Absolutely.
big deal for mama.
It is. And, Emily graduated in 2020, so I didn't know if I was going to get to see her walk.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's a huge thing for a mom. You're like, God, we've gone through 13 years of school. I've gone through 13 years of teenage hell with you. Please, I need to see you walk.
Yeah.
You to
and
walk across that stage.
yes. And that's just a sense of accomplishment, not just for her, but for us as parents. Mm-hmm. And it was July 31st is when she got to walk. So it wasn't the day that was the last day of school, but she did get to walk, and that's all I cared. It was amazing.
That's good.
And then Cameron graduated 2 years ago this last weekend. So, and it was great seeing them. I mean, that's such a proud moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So, and then Jacob graduates in 2029. That'll make y'all feel old. It made me feel really old. 2029. Well, what are your kids' graduating years?
Know. Like a long time. Well, because Jacob's in 5th grade, right?
7th.
Oh, he's in 7th.
Yeah.
So that would be like 2032 for Collier.
Oh my gosh.
And he's
That feels old. That feels like the future.
That just sounds old.
Yeah. I don't know. The other ones, yeah. I mean, Goldie's 1, so I still have a long
You've still got a long
ways
time.
away.
Yeah.
What's 18 years from now? 17 years from now?
That's crazy.
Okay, what kind of kid were you in high school? What activities did you do?
Amanda's shaking her head. Nothing.
I really didn't do anything. That sounds really crazy.
You didn't do any activities in school? No sports or anything?
Nope. I played softball up until I went into middle school. But then our middle school didn't have a softball team, and then I had been out of it for so long I didn't feel like I could be good enough to hit the high school team. So no, I really didn't. I didn't do theater. I didn't do band. I just stayed under the radar.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, stayed under the radar
Yeah.
and just got through to graduation. So, I mean, I met Cliff the end of my freshman year in high school. So,
You had a boyfriend in high school.
I had
That's
a
what you
boyfriend
did.
the whole time in high school. That's all.
You did Cliff in high school.
Yeah.
Yep, that was my activity.
That's funny.
That is funny. So, what about you guys?
Well, I worked.
You worked in high school?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And really none of my friends did. So I just wanted to get a job because I wanted to have money. And
Oh, so this wasn't like your parents told you needed to go get a job to have money. You just
Not really.
wanted it on your own.
so to buy a car, my dad was going to make me pay for half of it. Mm-hmm. And my budget was like $5,000 and he would pay for half and I had to finance the other half. And so I had to get a job to pay for that, which, God, $2,500 is like nothing now.
Yeah.
But it sure felt like a lot back then.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so when I was 15, I got a job working at the local frozen custard place. It's kind of like Andy's, which, I'm obsessed with. But it was called Cruisin' USA. And my 2nd grade teacher and her husband were part owners.
The one in Ozark? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And then I moved to between Ozark and Nixa.
Yeah.
And now they've closed
No,
down.
they closed, yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. It was a super easy job. I've always joked that if I just wanted to go work somewhere part-time, I would love to work at Andy's because it's just like low stress.
There you go.
You know, like just making concretes and sundaes all day. But yeah, so
But then you also smell like egg and sugar all day.
Oh yeah, so
And bleach.
I started shaving my arms when I was in high school because the concretes, when you mixed them, would get like little flecks of custard on your arms, and then you would it would pull out the hairs. When you were,
yikes.
off, you know? So I just started shaving them. But yeah, so I did that when I was 15. My mom used to drive me to work, and it was only like 5 minutes from my house, and worked there for a couple years. And then I got a job working at the mall, which I thought was super, super cool at the time because it was in Springfield. It wasn't in Ozark. And it was at the sluttiest store in the mall. I swear.
Oh, yeah. You've told us before. Deb, right?
Yeah. It's awful. But, and in fact, I had never even shopped in there when I applied for the job. But yeah, so I worked there. And then I think the last place I worked when I was in high school was the dry cleaners. So I worked at Deb for a year and hated it, and I was awful at retail. And then I switched and got a job at Comet Cleaners, which was also in Springfield. It was in South Springfield. They had a location in Ozark, but and that was like the easiest. That was also like a super easy, great job. The only thing that sucked is we didn't have air conditioning.
Oh,
So it was really hot in the summer because we
Yeah.
had a boiler. But the hours were great. Like we closed at, I don't know, I think 6 every night, and then we were open on Saturdays from like 8 to 1 or
Oh,
something.
nice.
And so you pretty much had nights free, weekends mostly free, and it was an easy job.
that's nice.
So yeah, I worked. I was in some clubs, but not like, I didn't do band. I didn't do sports. I did FCCLA. I was the president 1 year. I did.
Oh, so you did some stuff.
Yeah, I was in National Honor Society. I mean, I did that. The stuff that looks good on college applications.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I went to art school, so it didn't really matter. But yeah.
Were you in art classes in high school?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you did art too.
Yeah, I did like the independent studies, and I took pretty much every art class you could take because I knew I wanted to go to art college, and you had to have, back then, this is going to make me sound super old, but we actually had slides. So when I applied for when I sent my application in, you had to send your portfolio. And the way they wanted it was on actual slides that you'd put in like an old school projector.
Oh, yeah.
wow.
Like the individual slides.
Yeah. And I have them at my parents' house. But yeah, so, I sent like a box of slides of all my pieces of artwork that my teacher had helped me photograph and convert to slides. And it wasn't like a slideshow. It was like legitimate little tiny slides. So yeah, and I think maybe even before my senior year started or halfway through my senior year, I got accepted into art school. So I knew I was going. So I kind of blew off school at that point. I mean, I made straight A's. So I had a 4.0, but I just didn't try very hard.
You were done
at
with
that
it
point.
already.
Yeah. I was done taking my ACT, got my score I wanted, like did all that and was ready to move on.
Yeah, I think every senior does that. About halfway through the year is like,
Yep.
and we're just going to be done. We're not doing this anymore.
It's not just a high school thing. Jake's doing it too. And Jake, yeah. The other
A little
day,
early there, Jake.
Yeah, I was like, seriously. He's like, I just don't want to go to school. It's like when they're done with map testing, they don't do anything really afterwards. So it's like the whole month of May or like end of April and whole month of May until they're out, they don't do anything. And he's like, why do I have to go? I'm like, oh my God, you have a week left. Get up.
I've stopped making Helen like go. She's gonna repeat it, so I'm like, why does it matter? You're gonna do all this shit again next year. So,
And maybe she'll be like a little bit more ready next year.
Yeah.
Because you had the option, right, to hold her back or send her this year, and you went ahead and sent her.
We did all the tests, like the kindergarten test screening, and she passed. So
Yeah.
It wasn't like recommended that we hold her back or anything, and she technically was of the age to go,
But she's younger.
but she only made the cutoff by like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's like one of the youngest kids.
Well, that's like a pre-K type thing for her then.
Yeah, it's a practice run.
Yeah, practice. Exactly.
So yeah, she just gets to do it all again. I signed the paperwork yesterday.
There you go.
But yeah, so if she's throwing a fit in the morning, I'm like, yeah, we're not even going to go today. Not a big deal. You're going to do it again next year. So
So you worked. Did you work, Amanda?
Nope.
I didn't work either. I don't think I even know anyone who worked in high school. I mean, none of my friends worked. And my parents, I remember I got a job once and I was so proud of myself. I got this job and it's the dumbest job, like selling timeshares or something, or like vacation packages to Branson.
Yep.
And it was at this little office in Nixa. And I was so proud of myself for getting this job. And my friend Leah had a job there. And so that's why she's like, oh, you should come work with me. And you get like this commission every time you make a sale. And I was like, well, that sounds cool. I'm going to go do that. Mm-hmm. My parents were so mad because they didn't want me to have a job. They wanted me to focus on school and not, let a job distract me. So they made me quit. They didn't let me keep the job. So I only got to work for like a week or something. And then with my first paycheck, they made me pay my own auto insurance, which I'd never done before. And I was like, so you prefer to pay it yourself. You don't want me to have a job. But now that I have this extra money, instead of letting me keep it, my dad's like, welcome to adult responsibilities. If you're going to work, you're going to pay bills. And I was like, okay.
Oh my God.
You're like, I'm not working
He really
anymore.
didn't want me to have a job.
Wow.
That's so crazy. I feel like my parents, I think they paid my car insurance, but it was like the opposite way of thinking of like, if you're going to have a car, you're going to pay for it. Like, you've got to have some financial skin in the game here. I think my dad thought it would make me like a better driver or like take better care of my car.
More responsible. Mm-hmm.
It didn't necessarily. I wrecked that car so many freaking times. It's a wonder that it made it to as many miles as it did.
That's funny. I was a theater kid. Obviously, we talked about that a lot. And I did a little bit of journalism, but I wouldn't call myself a journalism kid. Like, I wasn't hardcore in the journalism group, but there were some cool things we did. I remember working on the yearbook. I remember we had Mac computers, which were a big deal because they were cool back then, and they were like those
The colored ones.
little Macs with the different colors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what we worked off of there. So that was really cool. And I do remember one year we were working on a school paper and we were working on interviewing all of the local politicians who were running for office that year. It was like campaign season. And so my brother was really close to Jim Kreider, had worked on his campaign or was working on his campaign. And I don't really even remember what Jim was running for at the time. Sorry, Josh, I don't remember. But Jim was so nice. He let me come and follow him around for the day. And he had like 2 campaign stops he was making and 2 speeches. And I got to ride in the car between Jim and my brother, I think, and ask all my questions. And like, it was just like a wonderful experience.
Oh.
And then we had this other politician. I won't say his name. But yeah, there's a local politician who is still well known and in politics today. And he was the biggest jerk. So I had Jim Kreider, so I had a wonderful experience. My friend Laura had this other guy. She kept calling his office and his office wouldn't reply. Like, it just kept taking notes from his secretary and nobody would respond. And finally, somebody from the office gets on the phone and is like, okay, like somehow we got through to him and he was the rudest person. He said, I'm trying to run a campaign and do my job. And I don't have time to give, interviews to high school newspapers.
Yeah, these are your future voters. Dumbass.
Right.
We printed it as a direct quote.
Good.
In the
for
paper.
You. Good.
Excellent.
Vicky Trippy, our journalism teacher, was just like, print it. We were like, okay.
Good.
So we did. He was so angry.
Oh, well, maybe he should have taken just a little bit of time.
I'm surprised he even read it.
Well, at the time, the school paper went out to all, like, we mailed them to the homes of,
Nixa?
yeah. So,
And he
like,
lived
every
there?
parent got, yeah. Or somehow, I can't remember if he lived exactly in Nixa or not, but somehow he found out. Yeah.
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 Yeah, that made his votes go down the drain.
He was pissed. And he,
wow.
called Vicky Trippy and was, like, yelling at her. And she was like,
That's
Yeah.
what he said.
hey, buddy, that's the only quote we got from you. I mean, it was just very much like,
All right. So did you guys date in high school?
Well, yeah, I did. I mean, obviously, Cliff and I started dating. We met at the end of my freshman year, and then we started dating my sophomore year, which was his senior year.
Was he your first boyfriend then?
First long-time boyfriend, yeah.
Okay. So like first serious boyfriend and you're
Yeah.
still married. That's pretty amazing.
It'll be, we just celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary, and we've been together, it'll be 33 years in October.
Wow. I love that. Yeah, I had a couple boyfriends. My first boyfriend I had my junior year, and he was kind of weird. And I remember that I thought he was cute. And so I was at work at the custard place, the frozen custard place, and he worked at the grocery store, like across the road, basically. And so one day, one of my friends, I like wrote a note that he was cute, and she like went over and put it under his window.
Oh, the high school notes.
Yeah. We didn't even have cell phones, I don't think, at that time. So, because I would have been like a junior. So anyways, yeah, that happened. I dated him for, I don't know, 6 months and broke up with him right before prom. And then ended up went with a friend to prom. So that wasn't very nice to me. Oh, and then I dated him again when I was older too. I went back and dated him again for 6 months, and that was all I could handle of him. And then I dated a guy my senior year who was very nice. He was a 5th year senior. Yeah. And I met him through like my art classes, and he only went to school for like 2 classes, and then he worked at Walmart. And it was like a situation where he had to pass some class. I don't know if it was math or science or something to graduate. And his mom and stepdad and sisters had like moved. They were moving away. And he wanted to stay in Ozark to like finish up to graduate. And so they moved. And so he had to work, he worked full time, I think, to pay for an apartment that he could live in while he was still finishing up high school. So he was really responsible and academically not that smart, but a street smart guy. And he was a good guy, nice guy. And I did go to prom with him. So I didn't break up with him before prom. I waited till afterwards. What about you, Jordan?
I had, I guess, a couple of boyfriends in high school. I guess the 2 boyfriends I would say I had, there were 2 boyfriends, I guess, were both theater kids. One I dated on and off for a couple of years, but very casual, usually just like friend type dates or, nothing super serious. But one of them, my first boyfriend, he after high school, he was a pretty normal theater kid in high school, but after high school, he kind of got into just kind of pothead hippie camping in the woods lifestyle. Wow. And I was like, dodged that bullet because that's not me, right?
Not you at all.
No. But it cracks me up because that was for years. And I kind of think he still kind of has that personality. But then I saw for a few years, he was talking on his Facebook about being in medical school.
Oh.
And I was like, what?
Wow.
This kid? How? What's in what? The only thing I could think was is he wanting to prescribe medical marijuana? What kind of medical, what's he doing? He seemed really dedicated to it. But now I don't ever see posts like that from him. I don't know if he's just fallen out of my feed or, if he's not in medical school anymore, or maybe he graduated. I have no idea. But I just remember thinking wow, that kid.
You need to look him up. We need to find out what happened to him.
Maybe we will. When we take a break recording, we'll have to go stalk my old
I'm interested in this.
My old high school boyfriend.
What happened to him?
Gosh, that's funny.
I did have, however, awkward dates in high school. Nixa High School had so many freaking school dances. There were so many dances.
See, and that's funny because they literally have the prom and they have homecoming dance. That's it. That's all they have now.
Well, and my mom was not a girl's girl. Because I would get asked by these guys that I didn't know that well. They weren't theater kids. They just weren't my group. And she'd be like, he asked you, you should go. And that is now I think about it and I'm like, I would never tell my daughter that. I would be like, you can say no.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
yeah.
I mean, it's not like she did it predatorily. But, she was always like, you should go to the military ball with Joe. He asked you to go. And I'd be like, I don't want to do that. And she'd be like, you're going. And then we'd go get a dress. And I was going. And it was always like, okay. So there was a lot of awkward,
oh God, no.
Do you dance? No, because I don't want to be here.
I don't think they dance. I don't think they dance at dances. I mean, there's some kids that do, but yeah, I
went to 2 dances throughout my high school career.
Only 2?
Yeah, junior prom and prom.
Me too.
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh my
gosh. I never got asked to a dance. Had no interest in going to the dances.
What is too awkward? Junior prom that you go to as a junior?
Yeah. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's prom.
See, we didn't have that. I went to prom with Cliff when he was a senior and I was a sophomore.
Okay.
So I went to his prom and then I went to my prom and that was it.
We only had 1 prom. So I went to prom sophomore, junior, senior year. But it's because we were all friends with the theater kids. And so, you took the younger classmates.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you could all go hang out together. And then we had, I wanted to say is it just one homecoming? Was it one homecoming and then
There's
like
usually two. There's
usually
one for
two.
football and one for basketball.
Okay, that makes more sense because I felt like there was always a homecoming, and then there was always like some other dance, like some extra dance. There was like at least 4 a year. Like it was a lot. It felt like a lot of dances.
Yeah.
feel like when the
LPA, ladies pay all.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's something like that, like a lady or a Sadie Hawkins or some
yeah.
version of that.
Same.
And then there was the military ball that I went to twice, which
I don't know
never,
what this military ball is.
It was like
Was it
ROTC, JROTC, whatever that is.
Oh.
And I never wanted to go. Both times I did not want to go.
And your mom made you.
And my mom made me because I was asked.
Yeah, that's.
I was just, I mean, that's just what I recall, but I mean, I'm sure anybody out there now that has kids going to Nixa High School, if there's any other dances, I don't know. They can correct us if we're wrong. But I mean, I think that's all that we had. And the girls, Cameron went to homecoming her freshman year, and she went to prom her junior year, and she went to prom her senior year. That was it.
Well, and my sister had all the dresses because she'd gone through it all. And so I think it was one of those like, you've been asked, you've got a dress you can wear, just do it.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, we've got 2 prom dresses for sale. My mom's trying to get offload my prom dresses. She still has them.
My prom dress. I don't think I have any of Jessie's dresses that I wore, but I have. I wore mostly my sister's dresses. Like
I still have my prom dresses.
I wore my sister's dresses most of my high school dances because we were the same size, and she wasn't using them anymore. She was in college by that point, so it just made sense.
And
again,
a lot of money on them.
I wasn't
too.
that excited about
Yeah.
going to these dances,
Really
so.
good shit.
I usually wore her dresses, or we would just go to like Penny's or Dillard's and just buy something off the rack that was not super expensive,
Well, I worked at Deb when I was a junior.
Deb was a big one. I bought a lot
and
of
that's where I
dresses at
bought
Deb.
my dress.
Yeah.
It was at Deb.
But for my prom dress, now this would have been in 2005. So this was like inflation, keep in mind. But for my prom dress, I remember mom like just decided. She's like, you know what, Jordan, we haven't bought you that many dresses. We're going to go buy you a nice prom dress. And I was kind of like, why? I'm going with the same guy I went with last year. Like, I don't know. Like, why? But she was like, we're doing it. And I was
You go to
like,
Norman's?
okay. I can't remember where we went. Maybe. I honestly cannot remember. No, it was like McDaniel.
Yeah, that's where I went,
They're
McDaniel's.
closed now, right?
Yeah, and that same thing, 2005, and I got the catalog in the mail, and I found a dress in it. I was like, this is the one I want. And we went and I tried it on and I loved it and we bought it. And of course we had to have like a foot of fabric cut off the bottom because I'm so damn short. And we still have it. And I feel like it's not something that like really goes out of style. It's very, very unique.
Oh, not mine. Mine's so out of style. Mine is the quintessential Cinderella ball gown with like miles and miles of tulle, like so puffy that I remember trying to get into Kyle's truck and it just like didn't all fit. Yeah. But like so much tulle, but it was purple, of course, because I love purple. And the bodice is like all sequins. Like it was gorgeous. And it was hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
In 2005.
Super expensive.
And I remember my mom being like, okay, we're going to buy this and we're not going to tell dad how much we
Yep.
spent. Like that was like the thing. That was
That
like
sounds so familiar.
this is perfect. This is your dress. We're buying it. And I remember mine was long too, but like we did a combination of really tall heels, which I could wear back then, and just like trip over the dress. It's fine. You know, like we didn't cut anything off of it.
Oh, my junior year, my dress was pink, also from Deb. And I remember there was a store in the mall called Baker's that sold shoes. I don't know if you guys remember Baker's. And so I worked at Deb and I found these clear heels, but they had a little bit of pink. They had a pink little bow and they matched, the pink was the same color as my dress. And I wanted them so bad. And they had, I think the deal was they had the size 6 in like the display shoe, but they couldn't find its mate.
Oh.
I went every shift I worked at Deb. I would walk down there and ask them if they had found it. And eventually they did. They found it.
They're probably like, God, find this freaking shoe.
Find the shoe.
Girl,
She's
driving us
coming
nuts.
back.
And so, and I wore those to school. I mean, like the clear plastic heels, I wore them all the time.
Were they like stripper heels?
They were not that high. They were not that high. They were like probably 2-inch heels.
I remember Baker's because they were one of the only stores you could buy Steve Madden's for a little while.
Yeah.
And so I had several
They
pairs
had cool
of
shoes.
Steve Madden pumps from there. Okay, so I think back to my high school years and I think I wore stilettos or like maybe not true stilettos, but like tall heels almost every single day.
To school?
of my senior year.
Yeah.
Well, specifically because, not because I was like a fashionista or anything, but because again, I was like the weird theater kid, like not because I was so angry with our vice principal, who at the time, I cannot remember that woman's name, and she doesn't deserve to have her name remembered, honestly. She
I bet you I could tell you exactly
made this point my senior year to say, because again, not a girl's girl, to say that girls at Nixa couldn't wear white pants anymore because it was distracting to the boys whenever their panties showed through.
Fuck that.
Oh my God.
And they shouldn't be able to wear the high heels because they could be used as weapons or whatever it was. And so every single freaking day of my senior year, I showed up to school
for
in
you.
my white
You
pants
walked those
and my stilettos.
halls and stairs.
Yeah.
I wore heels
God.
And it
too.
didn't bother me at all. I had this amazing pair of green heels that I have like on in my senior pictures.
Pointy toed.
Yeah, pointy
Yeah, I
toed,
can
gray,
picture 'em.
green shoes. And they were gorgeous. And I wore them all the time. And I remember my mom just being like, because she was like an employee. She'd just be like, okay, like whatever, Jordan. But like she knew I couldn't do anything about it. But I mean, like I was just so angry because no, screw that lady. She doesn't get to tell me what I can wear. And like really white pants because it distracts the boys. Are you kidding me? Those boys need to be suspended.
Yeah.
Those boys suck.
I got called to the office several times for my skirt being too short.
Oh, it makes me sick.
And they would have you like it had to be below your fingertips.
Yep.
Like if you put your finger, so I would like put my shoulders up as high as they would go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really pissed me off. It was dumb.
Oh, gross.
So speaking of short skirts, when I think of high school, this is the horror story that like pops into my mind. I was wearing too short of skirt, and it had a handkerchief hem, which was a thing in like 2005, and maybe they're coming back. I don't know. And I can still picture the dumbass skirt, and I was wearing it, and I definitely had a thong on underneath because that was also cool to wear at the time. Now I hate them.
Yes.
So uncomfortable. But so I was wearing this short like handkerchief hem skirt with my thong and whatever little tank top, and I'm walking down the hall. I probably had heels on too, knowing me. And I'm walking down the hall, and this girl who was in my Spanish class, she was a couple years younger than me, she came up to me. Her name was Nisha, and she was like, "Hey girl, hey, your ass is hanging out." And I had gone to the bathroom and gotten the skirt tucked into my thong somehow, and you could see like a whole ass cheek.
Oh my
And I was just walking down the high school hallway like that. And
Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean, thank God I had a nice ass back then.
And no one told you that your ass was hanging out.
No.
They
And
were,
you know
they
what?
were enjoying the show.
I don't even think it's that like there are the other things I can remember that were more embarrassing, like that, like some like interactions I had where I'm like, oh, why did I say that or something.
That's kind of an oh shit moment.
But
is
yeah,
what
it's
that
just
is.
one of those like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
That's
Everyone's on my
hilarious.
ass.
Yep.
Do you have any horror stories from high school, Amanda?
I really don't. I really don't. Not that I can remember off the top of my head.
I don't know if I have horror stories like what you just told. In high school, the things I remember at least, mostly I was in the theater. And so if you're not really a theater kid, you're super uninterested in my stories, right? But I mostly have stories of like injustices that I felt like needed to be corrected, kind of like the heels and the white pants.
It still floors me to listen to you guys and you wore heels to school. Because I just...
If that assistant principal had never said anything about it, I probably never would have. I probably would have worn tennis shoes,
You know
but
what? She's gone now.
she was a bitch, and I felt like I had to make a point, and so I did that like every day my senior year.
Yeah. And what's funny is we don't even need to say her name, and I'm pretty sure anybody that has gone to Nixa will know exactly who we're talking about.
I'm sure she was a lovely person to other people. I don't know. I don't know.
Cool.
I don't know.
I feel like high schoolers, they're getting it right these days. You see them wearing oversized sweatshirts and leggings,
Yeah.
whatever.
Comfortable
And
clothing.
they have figured that shit out. That is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
When we were in high school, that was not cool.
No, you had,
I mean,
you had to have the cool outfits.
Yeah,
and it had
I-
to be comfortable.
I definitely
Or
wore- I had
Not
a-
so much comfortable.
I had a couple of sweatshirts I wore with like ripped jeans, of course. Jeans with a bunch of holes.
I don't think I ever had ripped jeans. I was never that cool.
I definitely remember wearing a lot of like outfits that came from Deb.
Yeah, I really didn't have that fashion sense when I was in high school, though. I really didn't have that. I wore a lot of jeans and t-shirts. And being a theater kid, we had a different t-shirt for every show.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had like an entire wardrobe of show shirts. And then once you get out of your freshman year, they're even more valuable, right? Because now there's kids that didn't get to do that show, so they don't have that shirt.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
I probably wore show shirts 4 or 5 days a week.
Well, and that's how it was when the girls played softball too. You know, we had certain softball shirts that the girls that were below them didn't have. Like I had a few moms. They're like, "Where'd you get that shirt?" And I'm like, "That's from last year. You don't get one.
Girl.
Yeah, it's not yours.
That's not yours. you had to have an older kid to get that, and you're not getting mine.
Sucks
so
for you.
yeah."
I remember being so upset one day. We did a matinee every time we did a show, which I can't remember if there were like 3 shows a year or 2 shows a year or whatever, right? Every time we did a show, we always had a matinee day. Mm-hmm. And all the kids from like the middle schools and elementary schools would get bussed over and they'd see our matinee and they'd go back.
Yep.
And the way the matinee usually worked was we usually missed lunch because that was like what time it ended. And so we had a tradition of always ordering pizzas for the kids after the show. So those that were in the show, we'd have pizza and then we'd go back to our classes. So you ended up missing like 3 or 4 classes on matinee day, which by the way, football players got to miss school all the time because they were leaving early to get on the road. I mean, all kinds of sports people got to miss school all the time because they had to leave to go travel. And this was only happened on our matinee days, which was one time for every show. Well, our drama teacher was like getting really close to retiring and she decided she was done fighting with the other teachers. And the other teachers were all upset that students were they felt like we were just down there having a party afterwards. And it's like, we're not having a party necessarily. And it was a party, like it was a pizza party, like we enjoyed it.
Right.
But we missed lunch, right? And so I remember our drama teacher being like, it's on you guys. I'm not responsible for this. I'm not responsible for any consequences. Like, this is on you. I'm not doing this, So we ordered our own pizza and, cleaned up because we had a show that night we had to prep for too. So we had to put all the props away and put everything, get everything ready for that night. And then we'd go to the rest of our classes. So I remember my Spanish class was like right during that lunch period where like you missed, like you had half your class, then you went to lunch, then you had your second half of class because I had like the second lunch period for that class, right? And so I missed the first part of her class and then I made it back for her second part of her class, right? So my friend and I both, Laura and I both missed the first half, came for the second half. She sent us to the principal's office because we cut her class. And I was not a bad kid. Like, I had never been sent to the principal's office for anything. And I was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Oh my
But those football players and those baseball players
miss
and
school
the
all
soccer
the
players and
time.
the softball players can all miss school
All the time.
Yeah.
And so she sent us to the principal's office and my mom worked at the high school. And so this assistant principal, this was the other assistant principal who was a good guy. And I was just like, why am I even here right now? Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, technically you were supposed to be in class at this time. And so I remember him being like, Jordan, here's what we're going to do. Just take the 2 days of after school suspension. Yeah, so it was like an hour after school. I got 2 days of after school suspension where you sit in a room for cutting class. And I was like, this is atrocious. Like, no, I do not accept this.
But you weren't cutting class. It was a school function.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That teacher just had to stick up her ass is what she did.
Yeah, I like definitely did not take any more Spanish after that. But I remember like both the assistant principal and my mom being like, we understand that you don't believe you've done anything wrong, but like, let's just do this and move on. And I was like, why is this happening? Like, I still to this day do not understand that.
No. Not when they do it for the other, sports or, any of that stuff that happens at the school.
Yeah.
It can be for one and not the other.
Yeah.
I just saw it yesterday on one of my friends' Facebook. She's got kiddos at Glendale, and one of them is missing his graduation for a track meet, like the Glendale graduation. And so they did like a separate little graduation ceremony for the athletes. But I just kind of was like, they scheduled a track meet
on graduation day.
On graduation day, but it was it's a different school or whatever. But
I, as a mom, would have been pissed.
Yeah, I don't think she was very happy. She has twins too, so one
gets to walk and the other one. That's really crap. Yeah, that's not okay.
That's hard. Graduation, though, I mean, I feel like we've got to do better as a society of just not scheduling things around graduation. Like, that needs to be like a sacred, just this year, my niece went to her summit cheer competition in Disney World.
Right.
on graduation weekend. And I know there was one mom who had like 1 or 2 girls going to Summit, but another girl graduating from college. And so it needed to be in 2 different states.
Yeah. I had a friend that her daughter also went to Summit over there, and then her son was graduating from college here.
See,
that's not cool.
It's not.
Or they used to schedule graduation on Mother's Day weekend.
Oh, I know. And that's ridiculous.
And finally, I know Nix's graduation is this weekend, so at least they got away from that. But yeah.
But I think there's a lot of schools that still do it on Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah, there was a lot still that graduated last weekend.
Well, and that was when
Jolie was gone.
When Jolie was in Summit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's this time of year is just god awful.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it really is. Like, obviously, none of my kids were even close to graduating. I think kindergarten has maybe a ceremony, but I don't know that we'll do it.
Yeah.
Not sure about that, but like Collier had a wax museum thing on Friday where they had to dress up and do like a end of the year. They had done a biography on somebody, and we went and you like went around to each kid and like told you like who they were. But we had that. That was Friday. Thursday was like a fun end of school thing for my preschoolers. So they had like a ice cream, snow cone, whatever. It's just like every day there's something, and it's just May.
Well, and for graduation, I'm sure you remember this. You remember from when you were in school that week leading up to graduation. There is literally something every single day.
High school can just be really stressful. Do you remember being stressed out in school?
I don't remember being stressed out about academics so much, especially in high school. Junior high was harder for me. I do remember being stressed out about like the social stuff.
Yeah.
Friendship.
The social stuff's hard in school. Yeah.
You're at such a weird age, and because I worked, a lot of my friends would go and do stuff, and they'd come in on Monday and be like, "Oh yeah, Saturday we did this. We got together and this was so fun." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't get invited," but it was usually because I was working. Like, they didn't even try to invite me because I was working, and it would always hurt my feelings so badly. That was just hard for me. But I wanted to work. I wanted to have money. And then I had friends that would just use me because I had money.
That's so shitty.
Yeah, like she always has gas money, or she let's take your car because you have gas because you can pay for it, or let's go eat. And you're going to buy all this food. Yeah. Yeah. It was not great. That type of stuff was more stressful. The academic stuff for me was not. I also didn't take AP class. I didn't apply myself.
I was not necessarily a straight A student, but I was always just okay with it. Like, I did fine. It was never my top concern. I would say the academics wasn't as stressful for me as time management in high school was really hard. Like, doing so many shows in theater and always having a journalism deadline, there was a lot to juggle, it felt like. And I remember one time my dad got really mad at me. I was up in the theater and we had practice. And so I was doing whatever I was supposed to be doing for that. And he calls me and he's like, "You didn't change the cat litter. I told you had to change the cat litter." And I was like, "Well, I didn't get it done. I'll have to do it when I get home." And he's like, "No, you're going to come home and change this cat litter right now, or I'm throwing your cat out of the house." And I was like, "You can't just throw her out of the house. Like, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "Get your ass home and change this cat litter right now." And I was like, "I better see you in the next 7 minutes," because we lived just down the road from the high school. And I was like, "What the hell?" So I had to literally leave theater practice, go home, change the stupid cat litter, which I'm sure I did as loudly and angrily as humanly possible, and then go back to the high school and figure out what's going on. I'm sure no one even really missed me in the 10 minutes I was gone, but I remember being so angry with him.
Yeah.
And I do remember just a lot of getting run down and feeling like there was too much going on because there was just because I was involved in so many extracurricular activities. And then I would get sick every show. By the time we opened the show, I would be sick. And my mom would be like, "You always do this. You're so stressed out and then you get sick." I don't know what to tell you.
I can't imagine you being stressed out over a project.
Right? Yeah. No, that never happens.
So can I tell you my worst story? It was not in high school. That was in junior high. But I don't know that I'll ever talk about it on this podcast again. But this to me is the pivotal moment of my childhood horror story.
Oh, okay. I'm dying to hear it.
Okay, so when I was in 7th grade, I had a little group of friends. There were 5 of us, I think, or 6. I don't know. We ate lunch every day together. We sat, at the end of a lunch table, all of us ate ate lunch every day. I took my lunch, and I thought they were my best friends. And they did do a lot of stuff. They get together and do stuff and not include me, which always hurt my feelings. And I would get mad at them. And so I had gotten mad about something they left me out of, and at least this is how I remember it. And so we go to Christmas break, and I had decided to make them all cookie trays, and my mom helped me. So we made these cookie trays for all my friends. And we're driving around to their houses to deliver them, and no one's home. Like, give them to their moms. And then we get to, the second to last house, and her mom answers the door, and she says, "Oh, the girls are all in the basement." And so I go, she's like, "Go on down there." And so I go downstairs, and there were all my friends there.
Oh.
And one of them was moving away over Christmas break, and they were having a going away party for her and did not.
And they didn't invite you?
Yeah, and that's how I found out. So I was like, "Here's your cookie tray." And I handed it to him, and then I ran out of the house. And of course I get in the car and I'm bawling. My mom was so mad. I mean, my mom is not a person who, she's just a very even keel, no drama type person. And she was because she saw how upset I was, and so she was so mad at these friends. One of them had been my friend since she was born. We were born.
Oh.
And because our parents were friends.
Freaking terrible.
So we go back to school after New Year's, right? And I don't know where to sit, because obviously these girls are not my friends anymore.
Right.
And so I go to lunch, and I took my lunch. I think I even had a Gap lunchbox, if I remember that. It's just dumb. But I couldn't sit with them because they weren't my friends anymore. And so I didn't know what to do. And so I went to the bathroom and sat in a stall and ate my lunch on my lap.
Oh.
God.
And so, and I was just so embarrassed. I hope no one noticed that I wasn't eating lunch in the lunchroom. And I may have done that a couple of days. And then I had an acquaintance in one of my class, and I can't remember what class, but in one of my classes. And I kind of just linked onto her, and I told her what had happened. And she's like, "Well, you're my friend now. You're going to sit with me at lunch." So I started sitting at lunch with her, and she ended up becoming my absolute best friend. But she moved to Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh.
And, but it was okay. I went out and saw her. Actually drove out with them when they moved out there. I rode with them and flew back. And so it was so nice. I will forever be grateful for her being "That's okay, you're my friend now." And just taking me under her wing. To this day, I am still friends with some of those girls. We were able to reconnect later on. But it was just the absolute, for a 7th grader, that was the worst case scenario.
And of course, it was never talked about again, probably.
No, not really. I mean, so one of the girl that her house she had the party at, I didn't talk to her for years.
Well, yeah.
I think we were juniors in high school when we became friends again. And it was because we had a mutual friend and at first I was I'm not talking, I don't want to be around her. I don't like her.
Yeah.
This is what she did to me. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
She ended up being a bridesmaid in my first wedding. So we were able to make up, but because when you're in 7th grade, you just do stupid shit. I was mean to other people that now have become some of my really good friends. You're just...
Yeah, the drama's hard, isn't it? The drama of being a teenage girl.
Yep.
And just the heightened emotions. And I'm thinking back about some of the stupid fights that my friends and I had. And I don't even think I can come up with a good example, but I just remember anytime there was a group of 4 of us that were really close friends. We used to to play with sparklers in the backyard. And so we called ourselves the Sparklers because, of course we did. And we had these little airbrush t-shirts called the Sparklers.
Oh my God.
I don't know if any of the Sparklers listen to this podcast, but maybe Leah, I don't know. But we anytime we were fighting amongst each other, and it always ended up being 2 against 2, and the 2 would always change, but it was always bickering. Anytime, it would just be so stressful. And so so it's hard to be a high school kid.
It is.
It really is.
It's the social stuff. It's, the hormones and trying to figure out who you are, where your place is. And maybe kids don't care about this so much anymore. Amanda, you might be able to speak to it more than Jordan or I, but I just felt in high school, I cared so much about being cool. Being popular. Maybe not even so much in high school. I think by high school, I just was over it. But I remember late elementary school and junior high, like I wanted to be the cool kid. I had to have all the cool clothes, and I wanted people to invite me to things and like me, and I always felt like I was not good enough. And I think, now that just doesn't matter.
No.
Like I'm a contributing member of society. I have my husband.
Yeah.
Didn't know him back then. Like my kids. The shit just doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
I don't think I ever wanted to be a cool kid.
Really?
I think I just knew I wasn't. I think I just knew that was not an attainable goal for me. Yeah, like I was just like a weird, awkward kid that read a lot and wasn't very athletic. Like that was not, being cool is never going to be a thing for me.
What's that sound?
Hot Mess Express.
Coming into the station. What do we have?
Okay, we thought we'd do something a little different for this episode because there's not just one Hot Mess Express story for high school, but there's thousands. So we found this article on cheeseburger.com, which Lauren was making fun of me for, but it's just a silly like meme website. Like it's just lots of funny, silly stuff is out there on cheeseburger.com. So I would take everything with a grain of salt and I wouldn't like use it for factual research. But for some Hot Mess Express stories, I think it's going to be pretty good. So
I'm just saying I don't know that it's an accredited source, but
no, but I don't think it has to be for Hot Mess Express.
And I'd also like to note that it's cheeseburger with a Z.
Yeah, it is.
S-E. Okay.
Okay, so this is one of those websites where they compile answers to like a Reddit thread or something, and kind of pick out the best ones and give it. So somebody says, what happened at your school that sounded like an urban legend but was real? And so these are all answers to that. And so some of these are hilarious. So we're just going to take turns and read through some of these. So this first one says, my friend's little sister was in drama class and slid across the stage on her stomach and a piece of wood was sticking up and impaled her. She had to be airlifted to Duke Hospital.
Oh my God.
That's terrifying.
That is terrifying.
Here's one. For Dare Week, they staged a drunk driving accident in the school parking lot and had the kids who died in the accidents sit in class all day silently in corpse paint. Then someone dressed as the Grim Reaper would come into the classrooms and pull out more kids. LOL.
You know what I love about this is, first of all, I totally participated in one of these or multiples of these when I was a kid. And as an adult, I've helped facilitate these.
Oh my gosh.
But there are no zombie students, right?
No, the zombie students are hilarious to me that they... in corpse paint. That's fun. I wonder what they mean by that. Do they mean zombie paint? We always did like blood. It was like fake blood.
They probably did like if it was a drunk driving accident, they probably had like blood and gashes.
Okay, but
and stuff.
this specifies Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Someone dressed as the Grim Reaper would come to classrooms and pull more kids.
Kids all died in these car accidents, and then the Grim Reaper came and got
I could just
them.
seem like with one of those, what are those stage hooks that you like pull off the stage?
We've never had a Grim Reaper involved.
Oh, that's crazy.
All right, I'll read the next one. The valedictorian of the grade below me was also the editor of the yearbook figures and was in charge of sending the final file out. She snuck in and altered people's bios she didn't like to say stuff like, I'm a fucking idiot. They printed the super expensive books.
God.
And of course, everyone was pissed. Huge scandal. She lost her scholarship to Yale, and every school she got into, including safety schools, dropped her. Wonder what she's doing now.
Ouch.
Oh man, that's a rough prank right there.
Yeah.
And that's a harsh one. When we were talking before we started recording about one that happened at Nixa, when Lauren and I were in school. Lauren went to Ozark. I went to Nixa. So it wasn't my class, I don't think, that did it. But some class did, maybe when we were juniors, maybe senior. I don't know. But some classes, their senior prank went out and painted penises on the football field
with tar.
Yeah.
It
would have been prior to Christmas of my junior year because we were still at the old high school. So we were.
Were we in school though? Were we in high school or were we in middle school?
I think we were in high school.
I don't know. All I know is I didn't do it.
Yeah.
That happened.
I've heard that story a couple times.
Jordan
and it just still blows my
pleading
mind.
the fifth. Yeah, to have the balls to go out and vandalize something like that is pretty astounding.
I mean, that had to have cost Ozark a lot of money to fix.
I'm sure.
And I think there was like a championship game or something that was supposed to happen there, and they ended up having to move it because they couldn't cover it up.
Right.
Even when they got the tar and stuff off it, you could still see that.
And was it Nixa kids that did it on the Ozark High School
Yeah.
field?
Yeah, it was done by Nixa to Ozark.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
You know, quite the rivalry.
Quite
if you're
the
not,
But those kids allowed to be pulled out of class early to go to their games because those football players are so important.
Yes, they are.
Whatever.
Yep.
Whatever. Okay, this is a terrifying one. Our psychology teacher named Dr. Pepe was arrested for trying to hire a hitman to kill a different teacher who was allegedly spreading rumors of alleged pedophilia of Pepe.
Oh my God.
Good God.
I do kind of like this one. This one's funny. I created a fake scholarship from the Southwest Missouri Feline Association, and the school printed a certificate for me. Called out the award during senior awards ceremony and everything.
Love that.
So she just did it as a prank during her senior awards night.
Yeah, and the fact that they did not catch on with the name. I mean, what's she going to go to the cat school?
That's funny.
All right. Years after I left, one of my old schools started giving iBooks or whatever to all the students for academic use to make sure the staff periodically turned on the cameras when kids were at home to see what they were doing. Went to the Supreme Court, school lost.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah, talk about Big Brother. That is
Oh, and what an invasion of privacy.
Oh my
that is
God.
terrifying.
Okay, this is a good one to end on. A couple band kids had sex in a band storage closet. Got caught, suspended, whatever, typical stuff. But also, she was on her period. It stained the closet red for years.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I believe this.
It was a huge stain. It looked like someone died there. Gross.
Oh.
But, what kind of material was in that
It had
closet
to
that
be,
could
it had to be carpeting, right?
I mean, I guess.
I don't know.
This don't-
That's so
This
gross.
definitely sounds like an urban legend.
I think most of these probably are.
Yeah.
Well, okay, there's a lot more, so we'll post it on Facebook and you guys can go read more of these little urban legend high school stories. And of course, we want to hear from you. Tell us what your high school horror stories were or what was hard for you in high school.
I'd love to hear them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And just keep in mind, no matter how tough your week was, at least you're not in high school anymore. So there's that.
You have graduated to being an adult.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And if you aren't graduated high school yet, just keep in mind, you won't be in high school forever. And life gets so much better after high school.
Exponentially better.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So I think we are going to be taking a few weeks off to enjoy our summer, and everybody's super busy and has lots of vacations planned. So we're going to take a few weeks off and do that. And we hope you guys all also take some time for your own mental health and headspace and just enjoy your summers as well. And we'll see you guys back sometime in July, we think.
Yeah. If you guys come up with any stories or anything you want us to talk about, you can always post them on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Or you can email them to us at hotmessroundtable@gmail.com. Yeah, this has been fun, girls. I've totally enjoyed this. So we are definitely coming back.
Yeah, we'll call this the end of season 1.
End of season 1.
Yeah.
Yep. We're taking just a little break.
Yeah.
That's good.
We'll see you online in the meantime.
Yes, we will definitely be interacting. So
Yeah.
have a great summer.
We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Thanks, guys.